Welcome to today's video. We are talking about something that is so helpful, and I'm pretty sure if you clicked on it, you already know what's happening. We are talking about Big Magic. Big Magic is a book written by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's also a podcast and an audiobook. And this book, I read it for the first time in 2015, and boy, has it changed my life. It really has ignited something in me, and I reread it last year. I kept notes and bullet points that I'm going to share with you today. Stay until the end with the hope that it helps ignite something in you and start a creative journey, start a self-confident journey towards giving birth to your art, whether it is, a business, it's a podcast, it's anything, but giving you that mothering energy, that giving birth to something, that creating a child that is a project. And I live for that. Like, it's really the most exciting thing that has happened to me since I was able to read and write and draw. Like, when I was a kid and I learned those skills, I was on fire. I was like, yeah, and I started creating newspapers. As soon as I was subscribed to Little Magazine when I was a kid and I understood what newspaper and magazines were, I never stopped. This YouTube channel is just a continuation of all my projects, of all my little creations, of sharing something with others, of documenting something or creating something. And I live for that. That's the pulse of life within me. It's just like a fractal, we understand spirituality as being life, as being alive itself, and life is a fractal. It's just a continuation of the same pattern that continues and continues and continues. So through me existing here, I want to give birth to things existing here and then continue on. So creating this YouTube channel, have you liked that video yet? Have you pressed the like button? Come on, I'm waiting. But doing every video is, I don't know what to say. It's just, that's what I want. Like, obviously, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, it's cool, it's very nice, but the pleasure for me is having one idea and creating it, filming it, editing it, sharing it with you, and that whole process is life-giving. So let's not wait any longer and go into all the bullet points that I've grouped from reading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I recommend you to read the whole book or to listen to the audiobook, because it's pretty motivating. It's really, I've been using the word igniting, but it is igniting. Like, it's all about having that inspiration, or even putting yourself in a space where you can have an inspiration and follow through and climbing up your ladder. So the first one is answer the call. Just answer the call. If you know you have something within you, answer the call. The second one is make space in your life for that inspiration to come through. Make space. It's not necessarily going to come like this. It's going to come when you actually pick up your paintbrush, when you open up your notebook, when you start being on a call with the people that inspire you and who you wanted to do a business project with. So make the space in your life. Third one is write it for you. If you're writing a book, if you're doing anything, just like do it for you, not to help others. There's thousands of books helping others. If you're embarking on the creative journey, do it for you. Do it for you. Do it for what is gonna, like, all the skills that you're gonna learn out of it, all of the inner development, the inner growth that you're gonna go from, maybe having the discipline to do something, or setting up the space to be a more intuitive person who responds to that call, who makes the space for the inspiration to come through, to express yourself creatively. Whichever thing you are open to do it, whichever is the call, whichever is the calling, do that. And when you're doing that, figure yourself out. Like, through that creative act, figure yourself out. Fourth tip is do it because you enjoy it. Tap into the pleasure of this creative life. A lot of the artist archetype is the poor artist, the one who is taking too many drugs, who is sad about his life, and that worked in the 19th century. And we tend to look at those art like Okay, it's very beautiful. A lot of it is beautiful. Out of that pain, beautiful things were made. But those beautiful things, they don't need to come from pain. You don't need to, create space for you to have more wounds and then create from that. Do you understand? Like, you can really just witness what is already within you, and it doesn't have to make you poor. It doesn't have to make you, it doesn't have to be torturing. It doesn't have to be tormenting. You don't have to be that archetype of the poor artist. Of the fifth bullet point, you are not in charge of the reaction. High drop. Heaviness drop. Like, you are not in charge of the reaction. You cannot control that. You cannot control how people are going to perceive whatever you create. You're only in charge of the giving birth to it. So feed yourself well, sleep, inspire, find inspiration, open up that space, but you're not in charge of the reaction. That really helps. Other bullet point, play full of play. Be playful, be mischievous. Find that Mercury self within you, that Hermes, that playful, that Other point, frustration is part of the process. It is normal to actually not be happy with the way it's going at some point in the journey. It's just like all those athletes who know that every day is not going to be a day where you want to run. It's totally normal. You will not want to run every day, but you still got to do it. So frustration, it's part of the process. Believe me, I've been frustrated, but I will not quit. I will not quit. I will continue. Part of your job as an artist is to learn how to handle disappointment. We're not in charge of the reaction. We have to learn how to handle disappointment, and we have to know that frustration is part of the process. I hope that those bullet points, they land, I hope that they do something, that they untangle the knots, that they clear out the way, that they open up your path for you. Let go of your ideals, let go of perfection. All of that, it's the ego. And what we have to know is that you're getting in the game and you stay in the game. This is it. Have a long-term vision about all of this. Then the author, Elizabeth Gilbert, says something that it can be interpreted in different ways. Let's try to see how you interpret it. Give your mind something to create or it will destroy. And that doesn't apply to everyone, and I don't think it's a truth. But for some people who overthink, having something to create, having something to do, having some type of labor, it's necessary. It's really just life-saving, it's necessary, it's enthralling, it's igniting, but it's also just needed. If you're just out there not doing anything, you might review your life, you might criticize, you might start to destroy things. So instead of destroying, we want to create. Yeah? Okay, then she says something. Your art isn't your baby. I said, the mother energy, giving birth to something. But again, we don't take care of the reaction. We don't cover things up after the birth. So after the birth, the baby is out. It's not yours anymore. It's everyone who buys the book, who watches the video, who does anything with it. And we have that ability within YouTube where you can remix a video, for example. That really helps me to just detach from it. Like, I did something, it was mine when I was creating it, and now it's people's. They do the meditation, they might get inspired by it, do another one that kind of looks like it but takes it a little bit further or another direction. Your art isn't your baby, as in you have to protect it and give it so much importance it incapacitates you from releasing it. Your art is not your baby. Alright? Release it. Then specifically about writing, she says, writing isn't this somber thing you do in isolation. Create in the middle of human connection, in the middle of joy. Again, that somber artist, that tortured artist, no. You can write amazing, beautiful books, emotionally deep books in the middle of connection. And we're talking about writing, but it could be anything else. Then one other thing that is kind of difficult to do, and difficult to understand, but it's about working steadily, even without the motivation, even without the passion, even without the inspiration. At some point, it is something that you have to do with a type of discipline that you have to do no matter how your mind might feel, no matter how uncomfortable. Then she says something very spiritual. Inspiration is another frequency. Tap into it. Adjust. And having worked with the Akashic Records, having worked with, when I'm in a state of feeling Reiki within me, feeling that channeling, like this is really what I was doing before I knew of any of those things. Like when I was writing, when I was doing my newsletter, I used to have a newsletter that was coming out every week called Kofi, and I just did it. Like it came all in places. Like it was pure inspiration, but it really felt like I was communicated to. Okay, we've got this last point that I wrote down for us today. Be curious. When you're uninspired, ask yourself, is there anything you're interested in right now? And then go into it. And follow the thread of that curiosity, of that desire to discover, to learn more about something. And lastly, your art, your creations, they have the capacity to transform you. You're not the same person at the end of the journey. And that can be a really cool thing. Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and tell me what you enjoy the most. I look forward to continuing that conversation. Thank you for tapping in. Have a good day.